Now on NBC Palm Springs at 11, gunfire in Palm Springs results in 2 fatalities. Tonight, we hear from officials at the scene. Volunteers gave a Cathedral City staple a refreshing paint job today. We show you where coming up.
We're tracking record-breaking heat across Southern California. The good news, a cooling trend on the way. Your NBC Palm Springs starts now.
Now, connecting the valley, this is NBC Palm Springs at 11.
Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Caitlin Kelly. 2 people are dead after a deadly shooting in Palm Springs early this morning. That's tonight's top story. At approximately 12:30 a.m. Saturday morning, the Palm Springs Police Department responded to multiple 911 calls, reporting a fight and gunfire in the 19400 block of North Indian Canyon Drive. When officers arrived on scene, they found 2 adult victims with gunshot wounds. They were transported to the hospital, where they were ultimately pronounced dead. 3 other individuals suffered non-life-threatening gunshot wounds and were transported to the hospital for treatment as well. Preliminary information indicates a motorcycle club was hosting a private event at an industrial complex when an altercation occurred that led to gunfire erupting. At this time, detectives are working to determine the circumstances surrounding the shooting and identify those involved.
We spent most of the evening and into the latter part of today collecting evidence at the scene. Where there's still the location that we're processing for evidence, and as you can see in the back, that we're trying to collect some of the vehicles that we're securing as evidence. We're just seeking the public's help, so if they have any information related to this incident, we ask that they contact the Palm Springs Police Department, or they could report that anonymously through 760-341-STOP.
As a result of the incident, the Palm Springs Police Department announced their Behind the Badge open house, which was scheduled for today, had to be rescheduled to an undisclosed future date. Palm Springs Police Chief Andy Mills stating in a Facebook post that due to this critical incident, resources are stretched. The team spearheading the event has stated they're working on selecting a new date and will share it with the community as soon as it's confirmed. And an Indio Hills resident has been arrested in Rancho Mirage for multiple thefts, including grand theft auto. 38-year-old Andrew Houston was taken into custody on Thursday on Bob Hope Drive without incident. Deputies obtained a search warrant and recovered several stolen items from the vehicle that were later returned to their rightful owners. Houston was transported and booked at the John Benoit Detention Center for burglary, grand theft, and a violation of probation. This investigation remains ongoing. Anyone with additional information is encouraged to contact the number you see on your screen. Let's take a live look from our Agua Caliente casino camera. Meanwhile, Kai Beach is standing by in the Weather Center with your weekend forecast.
Well, it's still technically winter outside, but it sure does feel like summer. Almost 100 degrees here on the valley floor. The good news, we do see a cooling trend on the way. And when I say cooling trend, we're still going to be in the upper 80s. The reason why, high pressure system, that's going to start to break down. As for today's high, Big Bear City getting up there for them this time of year. Mid 60s, Cabazon 89. Here on the valley floor, just under triple digits. As we move up to Joshua Tree, we're looking at mid 80s. Now, this isn't just happening here in our beautiful desert community. It's happening across Southern California. We're talking about Big Bear, Riverside, LA, Orange County, and San Diego. Low temps tonight, Big Bear, 34 degrees. Cabazon, low 60s. Here on the valley floor, Palm Springs, mid 60s, and up the hill, 29 Palms, we're looking at 57 degrees. Now, as these temperatures do start to drop, our winds start to increase. Whitewater, Desert Hot Springs, nearly 40-mile-an-hour wind gusts on Monday. So when it comes to that air quality, not the best news here. We're looking at moderate conditions on the valley floor, unhealthy for sensitive groups in the IE. High temps for today, warming across the country. Phoenix, 92 degrees on the East Coast. We're looking at Boston, 53 degrees. For tonight's evening stroll, it's going to be warm. 6 o'clock, just under 90 degrees, but take a look at midnight. We're still in the mid 70s. 3-day forecast brought to you by Comfort Air. Sunday, mid 90s, but Monday and Tuesday back in the 80s. I'll have a full forecast coming up in just a bit.
Well, it was another night of music, memories, and Motown in Desert Hot Springs tonight. The 5th concert in the city's Desert Nights on the Boulevard series featured a special performance by Terrell Edwards and the band. getting families on their feet and singing along to timeless favorites. This week's featured nonprofit, the Women's Club of Desert Hot Springs, was also there, sharing information about the work they do to support local programs and community initiatives. And Cathedral City has denied a cannabis dispensary license to a business whose adjacent growing facility has sparked huge numbers of odor complaints. The City Council voted 3-2 to uphold staff's decision not to renew Cat City Cannabis Company's permit, citing a failure to demonstrate consistent public operating hours. The company, better known as C4, has a large indoor grow that has drawn ongoing concerns from residents at the outdoor resort Palm Springs RV community. They say strong cannabis odors continue to drift into nearby neighborhoods. City officials previously halted C4's expansion while reviewing the complaints, prompting a revision of local cannabis ordinances to enforce stricter odor control rules. C4 has pledged to address the problem, though neighbors' complaints continue. And a local nonprofit is celebrating 26 years of serving our community. Tonight, we're learning more about Paws and Hearts, an animal-assisted therapy program that brings trained dogs into health centers across the Coachella Valley. Our Kai Beach has the story.
If you love dogs and you can no longer take care of one and you're bedbound,
dealing with medical challenges isn't easy, but Richard Waxman and his dog Terry
he actually trains the new volunteers.
are turning compassion into action. Waxman founded the nonprofit Paws and Hearts in 2000. Since then, it's grown into a valley-wide animal-assisted therapy program with trained handlers and their dogs visiting patients to bring comfort, connection, and joy when it's needed most.
We were on a visit last week, and a dear old woman said to me, "You made my day." It makes everything we do and all the volunteers we've had, it makes it worth our while.
Now this nonprofit is looking for more volunteers, people like Sandy Young,
It's just a really good way to connect with people and to bring some joy into their lives, I think. It's good for bonding with your dog.
who says this experience has been life-changing for both patients and the volunteers who serve them.
People tell me how grateful they are, how it's made their day. I had one woman say, "You made my waiting today bearable." So, those things warm my heart and make my day.
To learn more, visit their website and discover how you and your dog can make a difference.
It makes them feel as though they've accomplished something. It makes them feel as though we've given back to the community. It makes us feel as though our time to get there and to put the dog in the bandana, to put the volunteer shirt on, it just makes it all worthwhile.
I'm Kai Beach with NBC Palm Springs.
Today, volunteers refreshed the Rainbow Crossing in Cathedral City in front of City Hall. This is ahead of the 10th annual Cathedral City LGBT Plus Days festivities, which include the Pro Rally, the raising of the Pride flag at City Hall, and even a drone show.
Painting our crosswalk is a visible demonstration of inclusivity in Cathedral City, and when other cities and states are painting over their rainbow crosswalks, we can proudly paint ours and declare our pride and our inclusivity for everybody in Cathedral City all year long.
LGBT Plus Days runs from March 6th through the 8th. And students at Desert Hot Springs High School got to celebrate Taste of Soul yesterday, which is a Black history celebration. Attendees got to enjoy performances, youth presentations, and free food. This gathering was a celebration of Black excellence, highlighting their cultural contributions with the aim of fostering unity within the community. And the River in Rancho Mirage has announced their calendar of events for the month of March. Events include the Palm Springs Cruise and Car Show, that's on March 7th, the Glow and Grow Market, which supports women-owned businesses, and that's on March 28th, and a sound bath and yoga event known as Soulful Sunday on the 29th. Still ahead here on NBC Palm Springs, the U.S. and Israel strike Iran. We have the latest updates ahead. Plus, an update with Luigi Mangione's case. We'll be right back.
to covering our community. You're watching NBC Palm Springs at 11.
Well, welcome back. Late yesterday evening, the U.S. and Israel launched airstrikes in Iran. Two U.S. officials tell NBC News that the U.S. targeted Iran's ballistic missiles and nuclear programs, while Israel targeted Iranian leaders. Iranian state media has reported explosions in central Tehran, and news agency video shows plumes of smoke over the capital. A U.S. official says Iran has launched retaliatory strikes against Israel and other American bases in the region. President Donald Trump, in a video statement today, said the administration was taking every step possible to minimize the risk to U.S. personnel, but he warned the lives of, quote, courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties.
The Iranian regime seeks to kill. The lives of courageous American heroes may be lost, and we may have casualties. That often happens in war. But we're doing this not for now. We're doing this for the future, and it is a noble mission. We pray for every service member as they selflessly risk their lives to ensure that Americans and our children will never be threatened by a nuclear-armed Iran. We ask God to protect all of our heroes in harm's way, and we trust that, with his help, the men and women of the armed forces will prevail.
As of now, there are no reported American casualties. However, in a post on Truth Social, President Donald Trump stated that Ayatollah Ali Khamenei was killed in those pre-dawn strikes. The announcement, which was posted shortly after 1 p.m., stated in part, "This is not only justice for the people of Iran, but for all great Americans." Ayatollah has led the Islamic Republic since 1989 as the country's highest political and religious authority, and was the central figure of Iran's military and nuclear strategy. President Trump also added that most of Iran's senior leadership is gone, saying the people that make all the decisions, quote, most of them are gone. And here domestically, the New York Police Department says it is beefing up security at sensitive locations around New York in the response to the conflict in Iran. The department writing on X that those locations include diplomatic, cultural, religious, and other relevant sites. 3 senior law enforcement officials tell NBC News there are no plots or specific targeted threats that U.S. counterterrorism officials are tracking today as a result of the strikes against Iran. However, officials say the situation can change as events unfold in the region. And here in Southern California, crowds of people gathered at the federal building in Westwood earlier today in response to word that Iran's supreme leader was killed. Macy Jenkins has the details.
The sounds of jubilation ringing out in Westwood on Saturday after confirmation that U.S.-Israel strikes killed Iran's supreme leader.
He killed many of us for many years. So, Islamic Republic is a terrorist regime. And all of us Iranians, both inside and outside, wants a free Iran and wants this regime to be gone.
Many of the faces in the crowd, the relatives of Iranians who fled during the 1979 revolution, many immigrating to Westwood and Southern California to escape the regime, the region becoming home to the largest population of Iranians outside of the country.
They killed my brother when he was 14 years old. Today is like our dream came true. The most dictator, the person who killed thousands of people, 36,000 of people, put a lot of people in a jail, today is dead.
Last December, the country's currency collapsed, prompting Iranians to protest in the street and demand a regime change. But since then, President Trump says more than 32,000 have been killed in bloody government crackdowns. Last month and again today, President Trump urging Iranians to, quote, take over your government.
Thank you to Donald Trump, our dear president, and Israel and its people and its president for help us free Iran.
I talked to my dad recently. He's in Tehran and he's looking for, he's also looking for freedom.
We want to choose our future. We want to see which part of the government our people want to decide, and after that we respect that.
All right, turning the page to some space news, NASA is adding another step to its return to the moon. The space agency now says there will be an additional crewed test flight before any lunar landing. That was previously called Artemis 3. The moon landing mission will instead send a crewed capsule into Earth's orbit to dock with a prototype lunar lander. The actual moon landing will now be Artemis 4, targeted for 2028. Meanwhile, Artemis 2, a 4-astronaut test flight around the moon, has been delayed until at least April. And federal prosecutors will not appeal a judge's decision to take the death penalty off the table in the Luigi Mangione case. Mangione is accused of killing United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson in December of 2024. Friday's ruling means Mangione's federal trial can move forward with jury selection in September. His state trial is set to begin in June. Mangione has pleaded not guilty to both state and federal charges. We're taking a live look from our Agua Caliente casino camera, and your full forecast with Kai Beach is coming up next. Welcome back. We're taking a live look from our Walter Clark Highway 111 camera. Not many people on the road because, of course, you're all at home watching us here on NBC Palm Springs, waiting to get your forecast. Well, good news. Here it is.
Well, if it feels hot outside, that's because it is hot outside. We're talking record-breaking heat. Today's high, 96 degrees. That beats the previous record of 94 degrees that happened back in 1986. So very warm conditions today across Southern California. Now, we want to remind people to stay hydrated, limit your outdoor activities, and always check on friends and neighbors. And also know the difference between heat exhaustion and heat stroke. If you're feeling any of these symptoms, best to get medical help. All right, the good news here, at least it's that dry heat. We're talking 10% humidity over the next few days. So when it comes to those high temperatures, we're looking at banding mid-80s. Here on the valley floor, just under triple digits. Whew. It is warm. In Joshua Tree up the hill, we're looking at mid-80s. Tonight, temperatures drop, but not much. Relief. All right, 67 degrees in Palm Springs. Joshua Tree, mid-50s. Big Bear City, that looks nice. I can handle that, 34 degrees. Tomorrow's morning walk forecast, you might not even need a jacket at 6 o'clock. We're just under 70 degrees. 10 o'clock, mid-80s. And at noon, we are in the 90s. For high temperatures tomorrow, Palm Springs, we're looking at Mid-90s as well. You head to the coast, you will find some relief. We're looking at mid-70s. For the surfers out there, we're looking at 1 to 2 foot waves. Have fun, go out there and enjoy it. 7-day forecast brought to you by Comfort Air. Sunday, 96 degrees. That ridge of high pressure starts to break down and temperatures fall, but wind gusts start to rise. We're looking at 80s for the work week.
And now, NBC Palm Springs Sports with Caitlin Kelly, powered by Agua Caliente Casino.
The Coachella Valley Firebirds hit the ice tonight and hosted the Bakersfield Condors at Acrisure Arena. Firebirds came out strong, taking an early 2-0 lead thanks to goals by Tyson Jugnoth and Yanni Newman. But Bakersfield always has a way of making things interesting. The Condors would ultimately tie it up, which would take us to a scoreless overtime and ultimately to a shootout. Edward Chalet gets the shootout winning goal. Firebirds win it 3-2. And while it wasn't the prettiest of wins, Coach Laxdal very pleased with the play of his team.
They're a team. They skate well. They're big, strong. They're heavy. They move the puck well and they support the puck well. And we got out to a quick lead there. And then they found their legs and they got going a little bit. And we took on some water. But give Coco a lot of credit. He kept the game close for us and he hung in there. And we got through overtime and then won it in shootout. So getting in the shootout, I thought JR and Eddie did a great job of closing it. And Coco was great in the save. So move on next. Get ready for Wednesday in Henderson.
Like you heard Coach Laxdal just say, the next game is on Wednesday in Henderson to take on the Silver Knights.
And now the Agua Caliente Entertainment Report, brought to you by Agua Caliente Casinos.
A new documentary heading to movie theaters this year looks at one of the biggest bands of the past 50 years. Rick Damigella reveals which one, plus more music news in our Hollywood Minute.
Iron Maiden on the big screen. The British heavy metal legends have revealed their upcoming documentary, Iron Maiden Burning Ambition. The rock doc roars into movie theaters May 7th. Ziggy Marley on tour. The reggae artist has announced the 20-date Ziggy Marley Brightside Tour, kicking off June 19th in Tucson, Arizona. Marley's forthcoming studio album Brightside releases on vinyl April 18th and digitally May 1st. That's Portland, Oregon trio Hoaxed and their new song, Where the Seas Fall Silent. The track comes from their just-released sophomore album, Death Knocks. In Hollywood, I'm Rick Damigella.
Well, if you've been watching us on our digital stream, you've seen us checking in on our friends up in Big Bear each commercial break. Now, before we go, we can all check in on Jackie and Shadow together. Now, if you didn't see it, Jackie laid her second egg of her second clutch yesterday evening. So underneath Jackie, I think that's Jackie right there, there are indeed 2 eggs being kept safe and warm. Now, Jackie has always laid her eggs 3 days apart, so if we're in store for another egg, we can probably expect it on Monday. I'll be watching, and of course, I'm sure you will be too. We'll see you next time.